Hello, manga and anime lovers. I'm Branch, and today I'm going to be talking about Demon Slayer, Season 4, Episode 4. This episode was very similar to the last one in that not a lot happened. I suspect there was a lot of anime original scenes in this one as well as some very blatant padding. I'll get to that in a little bit. It was so blatant, it was quite funny, actually. This episode mostly focused on not even Tanjiro training with the Mist Hashira, but on the Mist Hashira himself. I'm beginning to see a pattern in that these episodes focus more on the Hashira as main characters than Tanjiro. Tanjiro's a side character, and this one in particular focused on Tokito and how he trains the people under his care. We saw with Tengen that he was basically a boot camp kind of guy where he was kind, but he was also firm and made sure they got a lot of strength in. Whereas Tokito has no visible kindness, and he's even harsher than Tengen. I would say the best thing that came out of this portrayal was how as soon as Tanjiro shows up, Tokito turns around with the biggest smile on his face, and I thought that was just really nice and sweet. You can really see how he's changed after the whole Swordsman Village arc when he gained his memories back. I do hope that this formula will not become too repetitive, because it's basically the same thing now. At first with Tengen, Tanjiro helped raise the Demon Slayer Corps' spirits to make them go all in on training, and now with Tokito, Tanjiro, well, he really helps Tokito to soften out a little bit, and to show the trainees under him that he's not all no emotion and all that. I have to say, I don't mind that, but I really hope they mix things up a little bit from here on out, because if we have to go through each Hashira with this same formula, it might become pretty tiring. That being said, we've only seen 2 Hashira so far, so I'm not gonna expect anything. I'm gonna expect the best, rather, I should say. Especially since the next Hashira is Kanroji, which I love. She is one of my favorites, and I really hope we get a lot of focus on her. I wouldn't be upset if the next episode and the episode after that was focused on her, because she got very little time in the Swordsmith Village arc. All this talk about the Hashira, however, brings me to the topic of the Hashira themselves training, as we see when Tokito goes to join the Wind and the Snake Hashira in the mountains. I believe they're in the mountains, where they basically fight one another. I thought this scene was really good. For some reason, Tokito's crow had so smooth animation. I don't even understand why. It looked like, what was his name? Naotoshi Shida, who does some of the animation for One Piece, and from what I've heard, Dragon Ball. He has a really smooth style, and this one kind of reminded me of it a little bit. I really liked it, even though it was kind of random why they decided to put it all on mostly the crow. I do find it a bit worrisome how the Hashira are basically tiring each other out. They're training with lower Demon Slayers nonstop, and then they're training with each other nonstop. So if Muzan attacks, they're going to be pretty much useless. And I have a feeling that's what this season is leading toward. But that's basically pure speculation at this point. Back to the plot of the episode, it all ends with Tanjiro and Tokito having a paper airplane throwing contest. I really like that Tanjiro didn't end up winning. I thought he might, but it's really good that he didn't, because otherwise he would seem a little bit too perfect, which is something else I've been worrying about this season. But then we come to the funniest part of this entire series so far, where everyone throws paper airplanes, and it's all very nice, except the scene goes on for like 2 or 3 minutes. I was floored when this happened, because I'm only used to seeing this kind of stuff in One Piece, and I really dislike the One Piece anime for it. So the fact that this happened in Demon Slayer of all places, I really had nothing to do but laugh. It was so funny how it just kept switching to the sky, to their faces, to the sky, to their faces, and only had a couple shots of the paper airplanes. What was the point? The paper airplanes were obviously CG, so put more shots of the paper airplanes in, guys. I don't know. It was bad. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty bad, but it was so bad that it was kind of funny. I really hope something like this doesn't happen again. I don't think it will, because the studio doesn't really seem to do that kind of stuff, but I'm cross my fingers, because oh my goodness, I really, this was worse than a lot of One Piece scenes. Anyways, that negative stuff aside, the most interesting part of this episode so far was that we finally learned, I say finally, even though it was only introduced last episode, we learned who the Eye, or I should say the Eyes, plural, belongs to. Last episode, I thought it might be the Upper Four demon, but no, it wasn't, which, thank goodness he's not back, because that would just drag things on way too much. All the Eyes actually belong to the Biwa demon, who I assume is in charge of the Infinity Castle. So the fact that we're finally seeing her doing something is so exciting. I really want to just know how that Infinity Castle works. Is it her blood demon art? Is it Muzan's blood demon art? I have to think it's hers because she's the one who seems to control it with her biwa playing. I don't know how she found the Demon Slayer village. It did show her trailing Tokito, so I assume she just has eyes everywhere and trailed a bunch of Demon Slayers back to the village. Now that they know where they are, I don't think it'll be too long before the attack commences. But I feel like we'll definitely have enough time to go through the rest of the Hashira, even if we have to group a couple of them up, let's say the Snake in the Wind Hashira, perhaps. I also really like that Nezuko is under the care of Tanjiro's old teacher. I can't remember for the life of me his name. I know it's long and complicated, but I remember him, the one with the Tengu mask. I really like that brief mention, because that brings things, again, back to the beginning, like it did 2 episodes ago. Anyways, that's basically all I have to say on this episode. It was not as good as the other episodes so far. I'm not worried for the rest of the season, because I feel like they have to drag this section out. Once things start picking up, I feel like it'll go back to normal Demon Slayer quality. And the art and animation is still good, even though for some reason I feel like Tanjiro's forehead has grown a little bit. Well, I hope I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye!